Hey, what's up? I'm Joel Madden, and this is Artist Friendly. On this episode, we'll be talking to my friend, country singer Orville Peck. We'll be talking about his upcoming 5th annual rodeo, which is in Pioneer Town, California, November 10th, 11th, and 12th. We'll be talking about his life, his music, and much more. Let's go.
Bad times, I don't want to have bad.
Orville, thank
Hi.
you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
So, are they custom, the masks?
Yeah.
So you get them all made by the same you have a person?
So I used to make them myself.
Yeah.
My old ones used to they used to cover way more of my face.
Mm-hmm.
I used to sew those. Actually, I would sew the leather with a machine and I would sew the fringe by hand. And then now these ones that have like my ear, like I show a bit more.
Yeah.
These ones are made by a special effects company. They make all of they did the entire Buffy series. They make like a lot of the Marvel stuff and superhero stuff. So that's kind of cool. They actually molded my entire upper body, which seems so unnecessary. But there's they built this with clay on a completely lifelike bust of my whole upper body.
Right.
And I got to keep the bust, so I drove home with it, strapped in the seat next to me.
Yeah. Well, that's it's an art form.
Yeah, for sure.
What they're doing too.
Oh, 100%. They literally hand molded it to my face.
It's kind of how they do the stuff for the movies.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's in relationship to your whole body.
Yeah, 100%.
That's cool.
Yeah.
What's the feeling and what's the connection with the mask?
I think it's a lot of things. I think it's funny, over the years, it's meant more to me and it's become more meaningful and also less meaningful in some ways. It started truthfully just because I wanted to do something interesting kind of visually and artistically within the country space.
Yeah.
Because I love, I grew up loving I grew up as a punk and I grew up loving Bowie and Grace Jones and, Freddie Mercury and that kind of, I don't know, Lou Reed, these kind of people who seem to almost have these larger than life personas, but they didn't feel like they were playing characters necessarily.
Yeah, it's this really weird space with the rock and roll showmanship when you see who's good at it.
Yeah.
When you talk about Freddie Mercury or David Bowie or, when you look at them, it is them.
Yeah, it has to be. That's the funny fine line about it is it has to be authentic, or else it does look like a gimmick.
Yep.
And I think people can really tell the difference. I mean, I can tell the difference, and I think for me, I grew up in South Africa, so not very much, sort of typical Western cowboy culture. But my grandfather, he was a policeman, and he used to be on horseback, and he was in charge of being this policeman for all of these farms in KwaZulu-Natal, and he would leave for a week on horseback and come back and whatever. And so I think my idea of I had this fascination with cowboys sort of already. I loved the Lone Ranger, and I used to watch this show called Cheyenne.
Yep.
Which I was obsessed with.
Yeah.
And so I already had this fascination with cowboys as sort of a trope. And I always thought that they had to sort of cover their faces. They always had handkerchiefs on to cover because they were outlaws, right?
Yeah.
So, and then when I grew up and I got into country music and I decided I wanted to, sing country, I kind of thought, well, what's my contribution going to be in the country sphere? What's missing from the kind of the tapestry of country that I think would be interesting as a fan of country that I would really enjoy. And I was there's no David Bowie of country. There's no currently at least, and so I was that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to make really sincere, my kind of version of old school country, but I'm going to present it in this way that's very theatrical because I think that crossroads is really interesting.
What age did you move from South Africa?
I was 14.
Oh, wow.
Yeah.
That's a long time.
Yeah, I lived, it's the one place I lived the longest.
You don't have an accent.
I know, it's all over the place. If I speak to my parents, though, it comes out.
Comes out a little bit?
Yeah.
It's like when I go to Maryland.
Yeah, you start
a little bit of the Maryland. It's
Oh
like
my
a
God,
Maryland
I hear that.
twang that happens.
Yeah.
We say certain words.
Yeah, there's something funny with R's in Maryland.
Yeah.
Like Arn.
We say boat
Yeah.
and we say phone.
Yeah.
It's
Well,
like-
Maryland's funny. It's like stuck between the South and
Hun.
the Midwest. And
Yeah.
so it's like this
Hun.
convergence of like culture
They say
and
hun.
accents.
Everyone says hun.
Yeah.
Your mom says hun.
I
Yeah.
mean, one of my biggest icons ever and also friend, which is nuts, is John Waters, right? And
Oh, yeah.
like, he's from Baltimore.
He's
So
from
I know
Baltimore.
all about Maryland. It's a very quirky place.
Well, he's iconic.
Of course.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
How did you guys meet?
It's a pretty funny story, actually. I had heard he was a fan of mine, which, of course, again, I thought was a lie. And then I heard it from a few people that he does this Christmas tour once a year, and he does like it's sort of like stand up and stories. And this one year for the Christmas tour, he was saying his ideal Christmas dinner guests, like dead or alive, and it was all these people, and I was one of them.
Oh, wow.
Yeah, and so
That's
then
sick.
amazing.
That's
and
cool.
I've idolized John Waters like my whole life, right?
Yeah.
So I freaked out at this information. Then I found out that we had the same agency, and so I lied to one of my agents where I said, "Hey, I'm actually supposed to have a phone call with John Waters, but no one's like sent over his phone number yet. I'm still waiting for that." And they were like, "Oh, our bad. We'll hit it." So I like fully scammed his phone number, and I had it for ages. So this is the punk in me too coming out
Yeah.
again, just like it's like super unethical, probably.
Yeah.
And then I was on tour in Australia, and I was sitting in a lobby in Sydney waiting to get picked up to go on some festival. And I think we had like checked out of the hotel, and the transport was an hour away. We're just like all trying to kill time in this lobby. And I had this phone number like burning a hole in my pocket for like months.
Crazy.
Because I was so scared to also act on it. Because I was like, I don't know if he's gonna be like pissed or like,
Yeah.
if my agent's gonna be pissed or whatever. And I was just like, fuck it, I'm just gonna call this number. And also, knowing John Waters, you're like, I don't know if this is gonna be like a landline. I don't know if this is gonna
Yeah.
be like a payphone
That's what
in the
you
middle
think,
of an
right?
abandoned mall. Like,
Same, yeah.
like it could be like anything,
It's
really, right?
Yeah, it's some motel.
Yeah, like so I
Office.
just like cold called his number, and I just hear hello, and I was like, hi, is this John? And he's like, yes, who's this? And I was like, this is Orville Peck, and he goes, Orville Peck, I'm a huge fan. And then he never even asked me. I didn't tell him this story until like 2 years into our friendship. Like
Right.
he never asked how I got his phone number.
That's crazy. Of course.
Never cared. Like immediately we just started chatting and like talking like we were old friends. And then, we catch up on the phone. He's like one of the few people I love to have just like phone conversations with all the time. Yeah, he's like, he hosted one of my rodeos when I did Red Rocks. He was the host.
Amazing.
He is an incredible, incredible person. He actually I just saw him. He just got his Hollywood Walk of Fame star not long ago.
Awesome.
Yeah. he was
He's a
here.
legend, Maryland legend.
Oh my God. Legend. Yeah.
You're such a fun friend. I mean, when we played that little show at the Veep show, and I swear, I was like a little nervous because it was a small room.
Yeah.
And it was full of people that I respected. So I was like, oh my God. I didn't even know you were going to be there. And then you were there, and I was like, oh my God, Orville's here. What are we going to do? And then I was like, well, we got to play our songs. And then you were front and center, and it made the show for me. I swear to God, it felt like we were in a friend's basement. It was you and the Chase Atlantic guys.
Yeah.
It was so much fun. Nicole, her sister,
like
Sophia.
Poppy. And I remember,
Poppy.
dude, singing every word, all of us. Like,
Yeah.
when I tell you, like, I was there with 3 friends, and we still are like that. I think that was like one of the best nights. That was one of the most fun nights of my life.
It was so
like
fun.
all of us just huddled around with you. Yeah, it was like a basement at a punk show. Like
It was like
just jumping, singing every word. I mean, it was incredible. And it was we all left being like, man, like that kind of inner child you talk about. Like it was like so needed. Like you forget how needed those moments are of just like pure unadulterated joy.
That's why we do music.
Yeah. And like it was so much fun. I was so honored and happy to have been there.
That's awesome, man. I still say thank you for that.
Oh, well, thank you.
It made that show. It made it. It was unforgettable.
Yeah, for sure. I'll never forget that.
What's South Africa like for 14 years?
My favorite place on earth still.
I've been.
Yeah, I'm from Johannesburg.
We actually, our band was like, That was one of our biggest markets.
I believe it. There's huge alternative community in South Africa. I mean, especially in the 90s, when I was there.
Yeah.
I left in 2002. But yeah, my both sides of my family, back to like the 1700s in South Africa, basically, like South African through and through. Lived through apartheid with, mixed race members of our family. My parents were both from very poor backgrounds, so sort of a very different, lens of what being a white South African is, but also experiencing and benefiting from white privilege my whole life. And so understanding the concept of that.
Yeah.
And it not being like a foreign thing to have to learn and have empathy and compassion for.
Yeah.
And then, my father, as I said, a sound engineer, he eventually in 2002 got a job offer in Canada, and we really needed the work. And so very, very sadly left. Everyone in my family, we miss it every day. I try to go back as much as possible. I was there for my birthday and for New Year's Eve this year.
Oh, wow.
Yeah. It would be my dream to own something out there, like in the bush. Because I spend most of my time out in what Americans call like safari.
Right.
Yeah, I love it there.
Was Canada tough because it was a new place and you were new there? And
yeah.
Vancouver's nice, but it's
Vancouver's
different.
nice, but yeah, like it was interesting and hard. But at the same time, in high school, the first friend I made was my friend Andrea, who I met you with.
Yeah.
I'm like the godfather to her son now. I've been friends with her for like my whole life. I've played in multiple bands with her. She gave me the courage to be in a band, to pursue music, even though she's now like a librarian, even though she used to scream in a punk band.
Yeah.
So me moving to Vancouver really and meeting Andrea was the sort of domino effect to really where I am right now. So no regrets about it at all. But yeah, it was hard at first for sure. Really different culture. South African culture is very just, I think, open and, Southern Hemisphere culture in general. It's like the sun and kind of friendliness is in a different way and humor is in a different way. And then, Canada can be quite conservative in some ways.
Yeah.
Even though it's very liberal, I think there's a lot of British colony feel to it in some ways.
Yeah. Canadians have a way about them.
Yeah, and it's not bad, but I think humor can be a bit different.
Yeah, culturally though, it is different. It's its own thing.
It was definite culture shock, especially for my parents, I think, But yeah, so it was an interesting transition. But listen, I mean, Vancouver, I still consider one of my many homes because I had very formative years there. Learned how to play in punk bands there. Learned how to be, DIY culture there.
We shoot Ink Master there.
Oh, amazing.
The TV show.
Yeah.
So I'm there 6 weeks at a time when we do that show.
It's gorgeous.
And we made 2 records there. So we have a nice relationship with Vancouver and Canada. Good Charlotte we always did well in Canada.
Mm-hmm.
But I think Vancouver's beautiful, but it is different. It's just a different culture.
For sure.
And in most of it is great because it's like calm. It's to itself.
Yep.
You can go through that city and everyone's polite. No one there is really like tripping or starstruck, or everybody's pretty just chill there.
Yeah.
So it's one of those, I think they have like it's a great city.
Yeah. It's not like a West Coast. Yeah, exactly.
But Canadians, subtly, it is a completely different culture than the US.
Yep.
But we get along well.
100%.
But I could totally see how moving there at 14, being dropped in there is culture shock.
It was, especially I think for my family, we felt very much, but it's funny, Vancouver is also very much a city of immigrants. Like almost all the kids I went to school with were from former Yugoslavia, from like, so it was like, we all sort of kind of felt like immigrants in this Canadian city. So it was an interesting sort of little mix that I had growing up anyway.
And how do you like LA?
I love LA. I've lived here kind of on and off for like 10 years.
Yeah.
And I now own a place here that I've had for 2 years.
Awesome.
Yeah, and which is insane because I never thought I would ever own a house, period. But I love LA. The weather reminds me of South Africa a lot. It's like very much, I'm huge on plants and nature.
Yeah.
The plants and everything are very much the same. I love it here. So many friends here.
Is there anywhere else you like to spend time?
Yeah, I love the desert, so I love Joshua Tree.
Yeah.
I love to go out there. If it wasn't so hot, I would maybe live out there full time, but I don't think I could handle it in like the summer.
Yeah.
But I actually really am starting to think and look at like kind of more up the coast, like Santa Barbara,
I
Montecito.
love Santa Barbara.
I know you do. You and Nicole, you told me about it long ago, how you and Nicole would always go
We've
visit
been
Santa
going
Barbara.
there for 17 years.
And like, honestly, I think that might be the move eventually.
It's so chill up there.
Yeah.
It's got that like
I
Bay
want like
Area.
a bit more ranchy vibe, like
Yeah.
gonna have some animals type of thing. Like,
There's lots of horses. There's not that many people in the whole county.
I love it. Yeah.
And then when you go up past Santa Barbara, it's all nature. Up the coast is it's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
I think that's probably eventually where I'll
That's
go
cool.
up to. Yeah.
It's got a little bit of a Western flair
For
to
sure.
it.
Yeah. There's like St. Louis Obispo and all that stuff.
Yeah.
And like,
Yeah.
But
Solvang, all those
I like it up there.
Inez. Yeah, it's cool.
Yeah.
I was so excited to talk to you because I'm a big fan of your music. You know that.
I know,
I've
thank
told you a million times. Me and Nicole listen to your music a lot together, so we share that as a in relationships when you have your music and you for different things, and so you as an artist are so fascinating because you are so many different things balled up into country. The majority of country that's marketed to us, right? Because I'm a country music fan too.
Mm-hmm.
There needs to be artistic and creative perspective put into country. There needs to be exactly what you're doing. And then the way you do it, and I know that we've talked about this and I wanted to get into it today, about where you come from, growing up in South Africa. And then when we met, you were in Canada. It's also interesting how we met, and we'll get to that. I don't want to push too many things together.
Yeah, no, for sure.
One statement. So sticking still to the artistry and you and country. When I listen to your music, I hear 50s, old school, when country and rock and roll were the same thing back in the 50s, when there was melodies and it was romantic.
Yeah.
When you listen to that music now, it's very romantic to think about that time, right? And you execute that better than anyone on planet Earth right now. When you think about the style of music you play, if anyone else did it, you'd be like, oh, they're doing a throwback, right? You are not a throwback, but you are a throwback, right? You call back to these great things, but you do it right now. And when you see an Orville Peck show in 2023, it's a modern rock and roll country, but also elegant and simple. And the way that you execute your thing, that's why I know it's authentic. That's why you can wear the mask. That's it because it's you.
Yeah, I think that's, I think for me, as much as I'm obviously like a performer through and through, and I'm very much like a showman and all that stuff, like I don't really like being a spectacle. as silly as that maybe sounds, because I look so standout, obviously, but like I wouldn't want to feel like I was a gimmick or I was like doing something kind of cheap or like looking for like, sort of easy attention. Like I like to make everything I do extremely intentional. I overthink absolutely everything to the nth degree. And I have an opinion about everything down to the font on the poster that's going to be for the venue, because I want everything to be part of sort of my vision, and I care so much about everything I do. And so, yeah, it's very important to me it always was and still is, even more so. The thing I think I push myself more and more with, it's actually, partly the reason why I changed my mask and evolved that a little bit and show a little more. And it's also why I started to sing more about where I'm from and more about personal family stuff, which I never used to do before. Because I think my other contribution now is to get away with, like you said, the theatricality is I keep having to push myself to be more and more vulnerable and authentic, which honestly, like I said, I'm kind of a private person, obviously, but like as much as and so I don't really like being sort of like a spectacle or the center of attention. So that's what I really push myself to do, like lyrically and musically now, is with each album, with each song, to be more vulnerable and expose myself a little bit more each time, I guess.
Do you think vulnerability has been in the writing? Because I feel like maybe love songs that are vulnerable, it's a different kind of vulnerability because you're singing about heartache. And are you a hopeless romantic?
Yeah. what's worse than hopeless?
Yeah.
Yeah, I'm a
Tragic.
Yeah, tragic, insatiable, doomed romantic.
Bleeding heart.
Yeah, exactly. Of course, and I'm painfully and ridiculously sentimental. You know what I mean? Like, I think I have 2 songs in my entire catalog that are fictional, like, about something sort of like made up. Like, painfully sentimental. I've kept journals since I was, God, I think like 8 years old.
Wow.
I have a lot. I still have all of them, like tons and tons of diaries, and very much diary entry. Like, today I did this kind of style.
Do you still write in
Yeah,
journals?
every day.
Wow.
I mean, I'd say now as I've gotten older, they've become maybe less, like, not as linear as they used to be. It
Right.
used to be literally like, dear diary. Now it's like it could just be sort of like lyrics, or it could be like,
Thoughts.
yeah, for sure. But I still keep journals all the time.
You think you'll ever put a book together and share those with people?
Yeah, I think so. I've actually I've started working on something that's going to be like a 10, 15 year long thing probably, or whatever, however long it'll be, but I'm kind of starting to once a month do something that'll be essentially a long-term project like that.
That's cool. I would love to read that.
Yeah, it's starting to, I mean, it's just started happening, and it's really fascinating because I'm doing it with someone that I really respect as a writer, and I've worked with before, and it's very interesting to have somebody prompt you about things about yourself in a way that isn't really in an interview format, in a way
Yeah.
that just feels like really just genuinely talking about your growing up or your childhood. And it brings up a lot of I mean, I'm also just getting even more sensitive the older I get, which is crazy, but like it really brings up a lot of emotion, like it is an interesting thing where, I mean, I'm sure you can relate to this too, having spoken a lot to you and Benji, but like I think when you come up like sort of the old way, like, as I like to call it,
There
or
is
like,
an old way.
yeah, like when you come up, sort of not from much, and you do it out of like love to begin with mostly, and a lot of hard work and sacrifice for your career. I think it's funny to like look back and think about those times, and it does make me sort of emotional. It's interesting.
It is emotional because the idea that we could have big success, right? That we could be known, or globally recognized as on our music brands, yours, mine. At the time when we started, it was a pipe dream. That was not actually, that was like a hope. That was a pipe dream.
100%.
But the fact that we could just do it was a good enough at the time, because when you're an artist, you love to make things, you love to make music, you love to create and share with people and go, hey, look what I made. And then do they like it? And if they like it, you're, and then I think when you get to where you are today, if I can say so about you, you're going to get showered in compliments here, man. You're an icon, man. You're iconic, and you're important to people because you represent a lot of things. And whether you set out to be that or not, and I know this is what I know about you. You're an artist through and through. You're writing I can see you journaling. I can imagine that because I know you well enough to know that you're sensitive enough to want to put that little thought you had that maybe you wouldn't share with anyone else. Maybe you wouldn't say to anyone else, hey, I came up with this little thing and I wrote it down. I was feeling this way, or I thought this. It's interesting, the idea of a journal. It's so private.
Yeah.
And making art in private says something about the sensitivity of an artist. And that to me is like the purest art of all, right? The stuff that we may never see. Probably
100%.
The greatest art you make, we might never see, right?
Well, and I think that's also, like, I think a lot of the bands I grew up loving when I was a kid, just even the I remember being that kind of music fan that would just, I'd take like the CD insert, like the lyric insert, and I would just like obsessively like go over them and over them and over them. I was always such a lyric fan. Because I was always so fascinated by like, what could this be? And I loved like, like reading like band bios and stuff, because I was like, I love learning about what these songs are about, or like
the letter in the back, writing.
Oh
the
my
letter in
God,
the
yeah.
back.
And like, so I was always obsessed with that stuff. And I think also the fact that we didn't have as much, direct access through like, social media or the internet to like sort of who these people are. We only had these glimpses into who they are really through their art. And maybe once in a while through like a photo in a magazine or something, it wasn't like you could just go online and see like pretty much everything about them. And maybe that's also subconsciously why I wanted to not give as much away, because I grew up really enjoying that. And I was such a fan of that. Not getting everything and not being spoon-fed the entire story, like having also a part of it in yourself. I mean, it's like you said, I didn't set out to be important to people, as funny as that sounds. It just like, it wasn't on my mind, obviously. I never in a million years would have been considered to have been like a gay icon or a fashion, like
all the things you are.
Well, the things people call me for sure.
Yeah.
I never in a million years even had that on my mind. I mean, it's another sort of emotional thing for me when I think about it now is, growing up when I played in punk bands and I was a drummer, I was always openly gay. And many, many times, whether or not I was really the only gay person there, I'm sure I wasn't, but I was really a lot of times in those spaces, I was the only openly gay guy in a lot of those spaces, a lot of those tours, a lot of those venues. And like, I definitely felt, sort of alienated and ostracized, even within the alternative, in a community that was already supposed to be that weirdos and freaks and whatever. I even felt beyond that. I felt even more ostracized because I didn't really know any other gay guys that were into that kind of music. And I was like doing these DIY tours with all my friends are straight boys, like, or girls, and so it's funny to then now fast forward, like, 15 years later or whatever it is, to be to be sort of like a figure for a lot of people who write me, very beautiful messages and notes and stuff saying, I feel ostracized within the country's world as a trans person or as a queer person or a gay person or whatever.
Yeah.
Thank you for being someone I can look up to and feel represented by. It's like such a lovely full circle thing because, whether or not it was that much on my mind, I really would have loved that. And also, I never really set out to fix that, but in a weird way, I have become that for people. So it's definitely like a responsibility that I feel very, very, like I feel like emotional talking about it right now, just because it's like, you hear stories from people that just, I mean so much to them. And that is like, so what could be better than that,
I always try to think about what it would feel like to be alone in something, The tough thing is when we talk about these places that are supposed to be inclusive, right? The idea of it, everyone would in that like scene would say, yeah, we are. But the actual day-to-day life and living and interacting with one another, it's not as black and white and inclusive or not inclusive as like, I think the idea of it that we all agree on is there. But now I will say at the time you came up, it was different.
100%. I think it's changed a lot.
It's changed a lot, and I would say like we've made progress. So I don't want to like diminish.
Me neither. 100%.
Progress.
I'm talking like 10, 15 years ago.
Yeah, so 15 years ago, even 10 years ago, I know it, and you lived it. Now I don't know what it feels like to be alone in something like that. I don't know what it feels like to be gay. I don't know what it feels like to have that experience. Especially, I think about this. When you're a kid and you're growing up, there's so much you're up against already. It's so confusing being just a teenager and coming into that. I watch my kids as they're going into their teens, and life is just confusing, and you're all kinds of feelings. You're like mad at the world this minute, you're mad at your parents that minute. And I just try to step back and go like, hey, I'm just here, but also like let you do your thing.
Yeah.
And but to imagine how it would feel to have to figure out who you are, make sense of the world, and then find your place in the social setting. Forget about music, just in life. Do you think that like when you came into music, was that a part of your experience with coming out, your experience with figuring yourself out? Like how was music playing into your life at that time when you were dealing with just being in a social setting, I'm sure at school, and you know, we're just trying to fit in as kids. I always wonder what that experience is like. I always wonder what that feels like to figure that out while you're also just like dealing with at the time, right? Even now, though, I would say, even though that's the thing is I don't want to diminish what progress we've made, but it's still hard.
Oh my God, of course. I mean, you know, it's I think we made progress in certain areas and places, and you know, but I mean, there's still kids having really, you know, awful, you know, in some cases, life-threatening experiences.
Yes.
In their homes. I mean, that's the thing that's kind of crazy about being, you know, like queer or trans or something. Like in some cases, your first bullies are your family, you know,
Right.
which is like the craziest thing ever.
You've got to interface and interact with and figure out your relationship with your family, and then your social setting, and then the world.
And this is on top of the things we're talking about, which just every kid goes through, right?
And who am I that moment?
So for me, I was really lucky. I have like the most accepting, chill, both very artistic parents. My father is a sound engineer. He in the 70s, he was one of the first touring sound engineers.
Oh, wow.
So he used to tour with a bunch of bands like The Sweet and Susie Quattro and like all these bands in England. He would do a lot of like glam rock tours. So my father was around like, you know, free thinking, alternative, like hippie people his whole life, right? My mother grew up, you know, very unique family. Her mother was basically raised like an orphan, had to like get a job when she was very young. No, she was illiterate, no schooling. So my mother grew up in South Africa in like a mixed environment, like, you know, mixed white and black, which is very rare in apartheid. So just very free thinking parents. And I have two older brothers who are both straight. And when I was growing up, I didn't even know, but my parents were really conditioning my brothers, especially to be like, just so you know, like Orville's no different than you. Like you got to take care of him. Like kind of knowing before you even had, before
and like,
you knew. I can remember them talking to me about
that's,
you know,
sweet.
Just kind of like not pushing me one way or the other, but I think they could tell.
Right.
But they kind of just like left the door open. I like to say, like they would be like, you know, any girls or boys, and I remember being like, what? Like, so
what are they talking
they would
about?
Say, like, but they kind of just let it be what it was going to be, which is incredibly rare. I'm very grateful for it. But the thing that really fucked me up about it is like I had this amazing support system at home with these people, my family, who just accepted me for whatever I was going to be. And I felt so safe and so happy. And then I would go to school, for instance, and I was so ostracized and I felt so alone. And I didn't really have any friends when I was a little kid, you know? And so I would have these awful days at school, and I hated school from like day one. I hated school my whole life, which probably explains why I never went to college. But but I would come home from school and I would be so depressed. And my brothers wouldn't be home yet. And they were both huge alternative music fans.
Yeah.
And so I would go into their bedrooms and I would borrow their CDs. And I was like, you know, 12 years old or maybe 11 or 10 even, listening to like Nirvana, Metallica, Black Sabbath, like just Marilyn Manson, like just this amazing array of like mostly alternative music. And that started Smashing Pumpkins. Like that started to become like really my safe space as I would come home from school and just listen to music. And I was so young with a lot of it, but it made me feel safe and expressive. And so then I started writing music, just playing around. I had like a Casio keyboard. I had my dad's acoustic guitar. Like since I was very little, I've always been playing guitar, writing songs, things like that, and singing, of course. So that just became my natural sort of like safe place to play music in my bedroom, as I feel like so many musicians, that is sort of the trajectory.
That's
right?
how we start.
And that's still to this day my favorite way to write music is to play on literally my father's acoustic guitar that I used to play when I was like 12 years old. I sit on my bed and like play music on that guitar like I'm just a kid in my bedroom, and that's how I actually write almost all my music.
I really love that idea of that. I felt the same way. I was probably more of an outsider in my mind, right? Like, but music for me it soothed all that anger and pain. I remember just being so angry at life, and a lot of it was just my family situation because my parents were really struggling, it was just hard, and lack of resources and money and all that made it tough. But I remember just listening to records, and it soothed that deep anger and pain, and I didn't feel confused when I was listening to music.
100%.
And that was it. I was really feeling so confused at school. I was so confused. Couldn't keep up.
Well, and I think it's too like when you're, like Dolly Parton famously says, it's hard to be a diamond in a rhinestone world. You know what I mean? Like, I think when you're a unique person and you're a creative person, and that usually means you're also a very sensitive person, I think most sort of binary structures in this world, school, the way that the school system is just kind of laid out in a curriculum and, et cetera, all those kinds of things, I think, unfortunately, they don't cater to individuality. They have to sort of cater with broad strokes. And I think if you're someone that's like unique, it's really hard to find your place in that.
Yeah.
And I think that's why kind of joining an alternative community makes sense for a lot of kids like us, because and especially the kind of music, why it sounds the way it does. Like when I figured out I wanted to be a drummer in punk bands, I was like the craziest drummer because I just wanted to get so much out, and it felt so good just to be like thrashing on the drums.
Thank God for music. I always have so much empathy and sympathy for, it's probably why I'm not as articulate about it as I'd like to be, because I'm so careful, because to imagine what a gay kid has to go through in that time of their life, it's got to be the hardest time. And all my friends, all my friends who are gay, who I always think about like what, and I've been able to talk to a few of them, and it's nice because I feel so concerned, right? And then also so proud of them. Where we're at now, I do feel like it is a different time than 20 years ago. The 90s were different.
So. I really think, and I
hope so. I know that like there's always going to be like work to do, and there's always going to be hate in the world, and that I don't think we'll ever be able to eradicate all hate. So we're always going to have to deal with hate, but I always feel like sympathy for what you had to go through as a kid.
But that kind of exactly you saying that right there, I mean, that's, I think, a very important thing to talk about a little bit is actually on this topic, is that I think the fact that I had my brothers who were always my best friends, and had my back as, the term ally wasn't a thing back then, but like the most allied people you could imagine.
Yeah.
I was also surrounded by bandmates, my friends who were skaters, like whatever, who treated me no different than anybody else. Of course,
yeah.
And like allyship, right? And like made me feel like it didn't matter. And I wasn't different. I was just one of them. And I think there's a really beautiful book I love called Close to the Knives by this Polish artist in New York in the
I bet
late
Nicole's
70s.
read it.
And it's like, I can't pronounce his name. It's a crazy name. I don't embarrass myself. But the book's called Close to the Knives. He's got a crazy Polish name. Very famous visual artist, but he wrote this crazy book. And one of the things that I found really hit me when I was reading it, and I would love for non-queer people out there just to consider this, because I think it will bring a bit of empathy to just gay experience, is that, moments of growing up that are sort of like milestones for anybody, your first crush, your first kiss, your first dance, whatever you want to call it.
Yeah, all those moments.
All those like moments that kind of build your sexual psyche, your kind of
your
confidence. Exactly.
Yeah.
Those are all moments of trauma for queer people.
Man.
They're all moments of fear, guilt.
I never thought about that.
So my first crush was someone that I was so afraid that he would ever know.
Wow.
Because I was so scared of what the reaction would be. And so it's like, we do kind of intrinsically grow up a bit differently in that way. And I think just that little understanding will help with a little bit of empathy of kind of, it is hard to grow up queer in any way, I think. And not that it's not hard for anyone, but those moments are hard because we have to spend our whole lives reprogramming that trauma and trying to make that into find those moments of joy as adults when really we didn't develop them at an age that we should have.
It's crazy for me to think about, and it's the part of of me in my relationship to all my friends who are gay. And it's the part of me that hurts is it's not now. I know we have tons of stuff now. When you start rolling in politics and everything, to me, I always separate all that out because that's like people on social media and water cooler arguing about some bullshit. But in real life, when we're all sitting at a dinner table and being human beings together, like I feel like I'm so proud of my friends that have come through life
Yeah.
and ended up being able to be happy and live their life, right?
Well, that's like for me now, it's like, and once again, just to preface, like this isn't everyone's experience, obviously, right? I'm
Everyone's
sure,
different, yeah.
but like that's why for a lot of like my trans friends, you know, like I have so much just insane respect for my friends that are like openly living their lives as trans people,
Yeah.
loud advocates for it.
Yep.
Especially in a climate where, you know, it's literally, you know, basically on the verge of like becoming illegal to be transgender, you know. It's
Yeah.
like I applaud anybody that has the courage and the just joy to live as themselves in the face of so much adversity. I just think that's like the most punk, amazing, cool thing that I could never do anything but like root for and celebrate, you know? Like I don't
Yeah.
even know if I'd have like enough courage for that. Like that's crazy, you know?
You know what? I appreciate the struggle because I don't have that struggle. And that's how I always think. I always think like when people meet me on the road, strangers and
Yeah.
people that I know, I don't want to make their journey harder.
No.
I want to make their journey easier as they relate to me. And that's how I look at the world at my age. I go out into the world and interact with all different kinds of people. And I've been so blessed to have this like dynamic life doing all these different things. And I think about who do I want to be every day in the world to everyone. And what I don't want to be is someone who made their life harder and made their journey harder. And I want to be an encourager of people, but I'm not you. And what you actually represent, and it makes sense you come from punk music. And we can talk about that because when we met, you were like a punk kid.
Yeah.
But what you're doing is extremely punk in its ethos and in its nature. But also what you're doing is you could say it's dangerous. You could say it's bold. It's confronting the world in with style. There's a gracefulness to how you move. If anyone ever gets to know you, the way you move through the world, there's a lot of class and grace to it and elegance to it in your own way and artistic. It's really interesting. So I've always been interested. And when I hear your records, I hear it all bled through there. But then watching you move through the world and watching how you treat people, you are representing something that is saying it without saying it and saying it. And I think it's great. It's bold.
Yeah, thanks. I just, and yeah, I think maybe it is that punk spirit, of course.
Totally punk, dude.
I also happen to, I feel like country is punk, or at least it used to be. The spirit of it definitely was, you know? But yeah, it's, I definitely try to make my spaces feel inclusive of literally everybody.
Mm-hmm.
That includes maybe people that haven't, maybe people that aren't. I mean, the majority of my fans are not LGBTQ people. You know what I mean? I have a ton, of course, but I have a ton of like true blue country fans that live in like red states. And I mean, we've played country festivals where there's been times where, if I'm being honest, I'm the only gay person in my band. And, we've seen like the crowd, and maybe upon my own judgments, I'm like, oh shit, like, I really hope I'm not gonna like go out there and get like shot or something. You know what I mean? Like, I know that sounds really dramatic, but for real.
I mean, it
like,
sounds dramatic, but actually in the world we live in, it's not actually dramatic.
And it's especially since, we tour in a time where like during all of the drag ban stuff, like, I decided to adamantly, of course, me being me decided, well, we're going to bring a drag queen on tour with us, and she's going to come out in the middle of our set, and no one's going to tell us not to, and she's going to have a whole number, and we're going to leave the stage, and we're going to force people to watch a drag queen.
Yeah.
But like doing that,
which is super punk.
Right. But I'm also like getting older, and I'm like, man, do I want to get shot? Like, but you know, also I will say the thing is like the kind of beautiful thing that I've learned doing that stuff and leaving room for everybody and leaving room for people to learn and grow and maybe like learn something new as well is we play a lot of these festivals that are country festivals, and I'm, my God, absolutely the only queer person on the bill 100%, and maybe one of the few queer people even on site. But by the end of it, I've had so many people who maybe on a judgmental first glance I would think would not be into what I was doing, and by the end of my set they're like dancing. I can see that they're in like the merch lineup. They're like standing next to like someone that I can imagine they've probably never shared a conversation with that is so different than them. And like, you know, to me, that's the environment I like to create. I try to be as judgment-free as possible. And sometimes I'm reminded by even my band, who are all all heterosexual, mostly men. I remember, you know, Lady Gaga asked me to do a cover of Born This Way for the anniversary album like a few years ago. And so we were playing that as our encore for this one tour. And we were at this really, I think we were in like, I think we might have been in Wyoming or something. We were at this like really very, very, very country festival, county fair style vibe. And it was like going well, and I was like, okay. And then we were going to go do our encore, and I was like, hey, what should we play? And everyone's like, well, Born This Way. And I was like, guys, I don't know, like, I feel like we're pushing it.
About this.
You know what I mean? Yeah. I was like, maybe this isn't the place to do that one. And I remember my guitarist Duncan, he was like, this is exactly the place to do that one. And like, he was right, because, you know, we could look out on the audience and you see pockets of people like, you know, maybe visibly transgendered people or whatever, who have like actually come out to this festival, who are risking way more than me by walking through this crowd all day long, probably dealing with God knows what. And they're there. So it's like I owe it to them, and also all these people that I'm maybe making a judgment about, to be included in something that maybe is going to expand them a little bit. So then we would do it, and they're right. That is the place to do it. You know?
Yeah, I agree. What I think becomes hate, right, in its fully developed form, is first not understanding something and not having a relationship with it, and then being with a group of people that all don't understand something and don't have a relationship with it. And then I think it's something like they're confronted with it, and
maybe they're confirmed in a way. Like, yeah, like I think it's the third part of that I feel like is almost like the confirmation of like, if I went on that stage and I said like, anyone who disagrees with how I feel, like, fuck you.
You're wrong.
And then that's just going to confirm them like, okay, great. Like now we're different. We're enemies. Like this is how it is.
And you might actually be saying the truth.
1000%.
But who
am I teaching though?
Yeah. And what if they don't know, what if they're actually they have an undeveloped perspective?
Dude, we all grow up in, you know, nobody is born racist, homophobic, transphobic.
Right.
Like none of us are born like that, right? We little
kids all play together.
Dude, like we are conditioned by whatever it might be.
Yeah.
Our families, our environment, fears, intolerance, whatever. We are indoctrinated, conditioned, and made to believe those things, right? And yeah, I think you can change those beliefs. I know you can, 100%. Like I said, I've made judgments about some of those people on the other side of my side at times that have just been actually not fair. And I've like, after the fact, I'm not joking, this literally happened at your show on Saturday. I was backstage. I was like just joking with my manager about it. And there were these three very straight guys. I was standing waiting to get a beer in my mask and whatever. Yeah. And there's these three very straight kind of like dudes, and they're like sort of taking pictures and talking to each other and kind of like laughing. And like my back immediately goes like up, because I'm like,
fuck you.
Yeah, what the fuck are they looking
that's
at? Like,
me too.
Right. So I'm immediately like kind of like, oh my God, like what the fuck? And I'm like getting ready to be like offended. Well, I'm already offended.
The outcast kid, punk kid comes
like
out.
I'm almost on the verge of going over to be like, yeah, can I fucking help you or whatever? And I'm not joking. I get my beer, I turn around and one of them's on top of me, literally. And they go, "Hey, are you Orville Peck?" And I was like, "Yeah." And they're like, "Oh, we're from Madrid. We work for Live Nation, but like we're such fans. Can we take a picture?" And I was just like, "Oh my God." I'm like,
You know what?
I'm such a like.
I swear I had this conversation with my therapist, right? I had the same conversation with my therapist. I used to walk around and someone would be staring at me and I'd be like, "What are you looking at?" And he would say, "Well, number one, you're in Good Charlotte and they might like your band.
Yeah.
Number two, you're like fully tattooed, wearing all black. Your hair is colored red. Like they're looking at how interesting you look, likely just looking at the whole show and going like, huh, that's interesting. I wonder what he does, blah, blah, blah." And he's like, when people are in thought, they can sometimes look a little concerned or serious.
Of course.
And he's like, they're likely just interested in you and what you're choosing to see the world as. Either the world is a place with no opportunity and no one likes me, or the world is a place where full of opportunities and I'll meet lots of friends, right?
Yeah.
So I'm either looking for problems and enemies or opportunities and friends.
100%. And it's a perspective.
I had to learn that.
Yeah.
So that when someone's staring at me now, I'll say, "Hi.
Yeah.
How's it going?" And usually they're like, "Are you that guy from the band? Oh my God, I'll listen to your song."
So
whatever.
amazing.
So it's funny but the punk kid that didn't fit in.
I know.
That
It's so
got
hard
bullied.
it's so hard to like soothe that kid.
It's
sometimes.
the muscle memory, man.
I
It's the
know.
first experiences we had. And if you think about it, you're in school, you're going through this time, you're figuring yourself out, you're not fitting in. Your first 100 experiences, which probably set you up for the rest, are kids bullying you and making fun of you're the weird kid, right?
Yeah.
And that set us up to go into the world to look at it as this place where everyone is looking at us like, and they're like, "No, that's Orville Peck. He's a star, and I don't know how I can go over there and say hi. How should we do it? Oh, well, I'm just gonna sneak a picture. Oh, okay." And then you get the courage to go up and say, "Hey, I'll be honest with you. I was nervous around you for the first year I knew you."
No, that's crazy.
It's true, because you have a presence. Like all stars, all icons, man. I'm telling you, everyone I know that's just iconic. And I know so many people
You're so sweet.
in these different fields, movies, TV, music,
Yeah, of
art,
course.
fashion, icons. They have a presence.
Yeah.
Your breath is taken away if the first few times you're around them. And I've just gotten comfortable with that because I've been lucky enough now for 20 some years to be around so many different artists and iconic people. And I appreciate it. And most of the time, for the first 10 times, if I'm around someone that's like so-and-so or that superstar, they're friends with that person that I know really well or whatever, I don't even try to connect with them.
Yeah.
I just appreciate their presence in the room.
For sure.
And go, "Oh man, I was around him the other day. He's iconic."
Yeah.
Me and Benj always talk like we'll share,
Yeah.
when we can be honest. And I can say, "Oh, I was around him. He was so cool. He's so iconic." But he's like, "Did you talk to him?" I'm like, "Nah, I couldn't do it." And like, I've just gotten comfortable in that relationship. And then eventually you may end up becoming friends, or you may always just be an admirer of theirs.
And you know what? I kind of think that's okay.
Yeah.
And actually, I think, when you grow up a fan of things, of people and these people, right? It's so funny. I've been obsessed with Grace Jones pretty much my entire life in like almost a sort of like beautiful mind way where I think like maybe that's like something to look into. Like I love Grace Jones, and I actually played with her at WeHo Pride this year. Like I
cool.
opened right before her.
How was that?
Amazing. Like, I mean, she is like a goddess. I don't think she's from this planet really, but I remember the promoter or someone of the show at one point after I'd play, or was it before? Anyway, they said, would you like to meet Grace? Like, we can obviously organize that. And I've thought about some of the people I've been really disappointed in meeting.
Yeah.
and
That's
it's kind of like
too.
crushed me,
Yeah.
and like, I thought about it for a second and I was about to say like, oh my God, of course. Like, and then I literally just went, you know what? I don't think I do want to meet her. I'm okay. And they were like, really? And I was like, Yeah, because I think I just want to remain a fan.
I love her too much.
Yeah, like if I had a bad experience, I think I would be so sad. And it's like I just think it's okay to like also remain a fan of things. I think it's important actually.
Yeah.
That I never had meet Grace Jones, and I can always just be like in awe and wonderment of her. Like I think that's cool, So I said no, and I didn't get to meet her, which is great.
Yeah.
Because who knows how that would have went.
It's funny when we met
The first time,
how old were you?
I think I was 14.
It's so funny. I swear to God.
This is like the most full circle moment
It's
of like
crazy.
literally I think anybody I know in this industry, for real.
We met, you were just like a punk kid.
I was skipping school.
We were in Vancouver making a record. And we were making, I want to say, maybe it was Cardiology. Was it 2009? Or was it 2005?
5.
Okay, so we were making...
I was 15 or something.
Okay,
yeah.
So we were making, or 2006,
Somewhere around there, yeah.
So we were making Good Morning Revival.
Okay, yeah.
And I had gotten dental surgery.
Yep.
And I couldn't eat anything hard, and I was sitting in outside Starbucks maybe.
You were sitting outside a mall called Pacific Center
Yep.
in Vancouver, because I went to high school in Vancouver.
Yep.
My friend Andrea and I, who became the singer of my punk band that I was in forever.
Yeah.
We were skipping school and we were at the mall, as you do, like go to the mall and just like fuck around or whatever. And we walk out and we were like, that is one of the brothers from Good Charlotte. And we're like, what the fuck? And we're like, you were completely alone.
Yeah.
There was no one in sight. You were sitting on a bench outside a mall and eating a muffin. I'll never forget. You were eating a blueberry muffin.
Yeah.
And we were like...
And I remember that.
We were like, what the
I
fuck?
remembered meeting you guys.
You didn't even have like... There was no one else with you.
No, I was just alone.
And I think this was like... You didn't have a phone. Like, no one had like iPhones. Or like,
No.
You were just sitting there eating a muffin. And me and Andrea walked over and we were just like, hey, are you in Good Charlotte? And you were like, yeah. And we were like... Oh, cool. Can we just like talk with you? And you were like, yeah, have a seat. And we just like
you guys sat down and talked.
we just like chatted with you. And we were like, okay, like we just sat and talked to you for like half an hour. And then we were like, okay, cool, man. Like, lovely to meet you.
Yeah. I remember that because I had terrible teeth, like dental problems, and was growing up without dental care and all kinds, and just hereditary. And so I remember I was in so much pain and I went and got a root canal.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, you were telling us.
And I was telling you guys all about it. Listen, kids, this is dental hygiene 101. Yeah. And I remember I was so relieved because the pain was gone. And I was so hungry because I couldn't eat.
You were trying to eat something soft.
And I had to eat something that would like fall apart in my mouth and soft. And so the best thing I could think of was like a blueberry muffin. So I was sitting there alone, like in relief, of these two like punk kids.
No, it's genuinely like, I think one of the purest little like memories I have.
Funny.
And it's so full circle that we're friends now. Because I mean, that's ridiculous. Like,
it's crazy.
Yeah.
And all these years later.
Yeah, it's like probably close to 20 years ago.
But it reinforces my idea around like nothing happens by accident.
1000%.
Like I really do. Like if there was any part of me, the spiritual side of my life, I always think there's this like master plan we can't see and that we can't understand. But that if you listen to the little things that those moments in life where you're like, did I just think that? Did I just notice that? Why did that person strike me?
Yeah.
Why would I remember?
Right. Like such a
all
fleeting
that
interaction.
Yes. Was that root canal connected to that meeting?
I know, how bizarre.
And what part of all of this is connected? And that's why I never question. I was just having this conversation with my son. I never question any experience I'm having. And I used to, and I had to relearn how to look at opportunity. Everything that we do, every challenge, every time something we think it goes wrong.
Well, and that's because for so many times it has, and that's the fear of that, right?
But it's an opportunity. It's life's great design, right? And whatever your understanding of God is, it's the design that nothing is wrong, and that every little moment, challenge, good, bad, is some opportunity that life is giving us to develop some muscle we don't have, or get better at something, or discover a talent. And so problem solving in the challenging parts is part of the exercise of development that never stops.
Yeah.
And so whether, you could be frustrated with a situation in your career with this or that, the scared kid in us is going to say, oh, they're against me and this isn't working out and I'm afraid. That's where I go first. But what I've learned to do is knock against that and go, no, and as crazy as it sounds, I'll have that conversation with myself.
Yeah.
And recognize that young, scared, outcast kid who nothing was going his way, it felt like, for 18 years. And I'll check in with that part of me and go, hey, look, it's all worked out.
But that empathy that you have for yourself in that way, and everyone should, and we need to work too for ourselves. I think that's why you and Benj are so good at fostering and caring for like younger and other artists. You know what I mean? Because like, I mean, you and Benji, you're the first people really when I've been touring for 17 years, but I've only really been in like the kind of this level of the music industry for like 4 or 5 years or something, right? When I was first coming up into this level of like major labels and managers and lawyers and all that shit, I mean, you guys literally just reached out to me immediately. Like, we're just like, anything you ever need, we were there, and we didn't really have many people like telling us how to do it or like what to do. And you guys are just like, anything you ever need advice on, anything, whatever. I mean, you guys literally were like the first people to just really like take me under their wing and help me with like this industry. And I'll always be grateful for that. You know what I mean? But I think that's because you have that empathy for yourself, and like you guys had been through it the hard way. And so you don't want to see people you care about going through that same thing, right?
Yeah, I think if we can be the guys we wish we would have met.
100%.
And I think about that a lot in everything that I do in life, period. Like, if I can be the dad I wish I would have had, if I could be the partner I wish I had. It's like we in relationships too, I always think about what we deserve. I think we have to be the person we think we deserve for the other person,
Yeah, like we love how we would like to be loved, right?
Yeah, and I think that's how we have to be as friends. And I think we have to try to be that way at work too. And I think we tend to gravitate towards, I think, true artists in the sense of our perspective, our understanding, and our relationship to art. And I think true artists get creamed the worst. They get smashed.
And fully. And like, that's the thing I've really noticed.
They get hurt.
Dude, they get hurt, and they get like ripped off the most. They get like, they inspire all of this other stuff. They get no credit. They never get their flowers.
They get crushed.
It's crazy.
And then and then it's really bad.
Yeah.
So some of them turn to medicating this pain from getting crushed under this business, finding the balance of making the art, and then after we make the art, figuring out the commerce is a process, and it's an art in itself. And I think if we can figure that out, if we can put the art first, make the art, and then figure out the commerce and not relate the metrics of the commerce to the value of the art, because some of the art won't be appreciated for years.
100%. Actually, and I think most really good art, it's really hard for it to be appreciated on a big scale in the moment. It just can't be. I mean, look at visual art, look at cinema, look at anything. I mean, country music, funnily enough, is like the perfect example of that. Like, so much of country music at the time it was made was never appreciated. Willie Nelson, the Outlaws, everyone thought they were nuts. Like, in retrospect, things that are really meaningful, I think, have more potency and power, and a lot of like, maybe the more less referenced crowd can look back and go, oh, now I get it, now I see it. But in the moment, it was like hard to connect to. It was too weird or too out there,
That's art.
Yeah, for sure.
I also just think we love artists, and to help an artist believe in themselves, because I also see that in them that I just didn't think I was valuable for so long. And then I think I spent my 30s really taking the time to work on myself, go in and do the work and excavate and face a lot of painful stuff. I'm still doing it, but I got through the hard part.
Yeah.
And now I think I have a great relationship with that work. So I'm super comfortable doing it. And I think when we see artists who haven't started that work yet and they're just raw, they're making this incredible art. And I see this with artists sometimes. It's like they're afraid if the pain goes away, they won't make good art.
Oh my God, 100%.
And I think that's a lie.
And that's, I think, with like, you find people falling into so many traps with like substance abuse, like all kinds
Totally.
of stuff. Like,
Totally. It's the cautionary tale, right?
yeah, for sure.
And if we can promote artists, really healing, because they're healing all these other people, but they're not healing themselves a lot of times.
Sure.
And then I think if an artist understands, and that's the first thing we say to, let's say we meet an artist like you and we're like, hey, listen, we can help you. But let's be clear, you are going to make it on the strength of yourself. It's not because you met us or not because you're working with that manager or that label or that agent. Certainly you assemble a great team, you can have a really great operation and that absolutely leads to success. But it's the version of success you build because you're an artist that will have success if you make art and it'll be your own success. Now, what version of that do you want? And then that's how you thoughtfully put together your team and you start to fit the pieces together and everybody is different.
Yeah.
And that's what artists need to understand is that like, don't get sold the dream from someone else.
100%.
Have your dream.
And keep that pure. I mean, I always think back to like my punk days when like, back then success to me when I was like 18 years old, touring in a minivan with my drums on my lap, driving for like 10 to 13 hours a day to play that night. Sometimes to like
Some
the
sweaty
sound
show.
engineer,
Yeah.
the promoter, and two people.
Yeah.
Never mind make money, lose money,
Oh yeah.
sleep on someone's hardwood floor, wake up and do it all again. When I was 18, that was success.
Yeah.
You couldn't tell me it wasn't, you know what I
Yeah.
mean? So yeah, like I think keeping that purity of like, is that my idea of success now? Of course not. It's
Well, you grow.
changed.
Yeah.
But it is good
It
to
evolves.
remember. Yeah.
It evolves.
Of course.
But that's like the sapling stage. The tree is just sprouting out of the ground, and now it's an apple tree.
yeah.
And I always tell people that too, is like an apple tree. Well, that takes 5 years to get apples. And then you never know how many branches are going to be on that tree, how many apples are going to be on that tree, but you've got to protect it, nurture it. And that's kind of like what we do. We grow and our careers take different shapes and forms and they roll out in this kind of, I think a lot of times better than we could have imagined.
Oh, God. I mean, in my case, I think the one thing I wanted to do was just put out a record. I think everything after that's been like a bonus pretty much.
You've killed it.
Thank you. Thanks, Joel.
Is there anyone in country music that you feel like has really taken you under their wing or shepherded you or showed you, especially kind of showed you love that you really admire?
Yeah, Tanya Tucker.
Wow.
Which is amazing to say.
Yeah.
I have loved Tanya Tucker my whole life. I mean, Tanya was nominated for a Grammy when she was 13 for Delta Dawn,
Wow.
which was over 50 years ago.
Yeah.
And she finally won her Grammy at 2020, which is the first Grammys I went to. So I got to see her win her Grammy,
Crazy.
which was literally 50 years after she was first nominated.
Did you get nominated?
No.
Okay. I haven't either. So
Yeah.
you're in the club with me.
No, I'm not. Yeah.
Yeah. Not yet.
No, not yet.
Yeah.
But
you will.
But yeah, Tanya Tucker, she it's really amazing to have somebody who's been in this industry for so long and been through it all. And when I mean all with Tanya Tucker, she's not shy about her demons and everything she's been through.
Yeah.
I respect her so incredibly much, and the fact that she'll send me videos of like her and her band listening to my album like pre-show before she's about to go on her show, or like she brought me out at Stagecoach to sing Delta Dawn with her at the 50-year anniversary. She's an incredible legend, and she's just been so supportive of me. Shania Twain, very early on, I heard Shania was a fan of mine, and I thought it was a lie. And then I wrote a song for her, and I met her at the Grammys, and we we recorded it at her ranch, like did everything. She's like, she's taken me out to Vegas when she did her residency. Like Shania's been amazing. Willie Nelson, big fan.
He's my favorite of all time.
I mean, the fact that I can even like say that I've met and know Willie and that he's a fan of mine.
I've never met him. He seems like such a kind soul.
I can't really discuss a specific story that I wish I could just for some reason.
Yeah.
But he is cooler and more of the person you want him to be than you could ever imagine. Like he's so just the real deal of his beliefs and what he believes in and what he stands for. Yeah, a lot of the sort of old crowd are big fans. Elton John, which is also crazy that I email with Elton John. That's like
crazy.
Insane to me.
That's crazy.
And the fact that these people are not just like, people I consider friends, but also like fans by their omission, like is just insane to me.
To you, I'm sure the experience is insane. To that kid sitting on a bench, when he's 15, talking to the guy from Good Charlotte, but the guy who's sitting here as your fan, it just makes sense to me. But I think there's something about like artists and icons that like you see your peers across the room, and real recognizes real, as they say.
100%.
Yeah.
But that's all like, like it was so nice being at your guys' compound for when we were young. Cause like just looking around at all the different people and all your families and just like everybody back there, I just kept saying to, I think both you and Benj, I was like, it's such a testament of you guys, like who you have around you as well. Right. Like, there's this beautiful saying in South Africa that's sort of like it's like a concept kind of, and it's called Ubuntu. And it literally means like, I am because you are. And it means that like any success like I have is attributed to, it's also a success of yours. It's a success of everyone else in my life because we are made up of who we surround ourselves with.
100%.
And I just think it's like a beautiful like show of Ubuntu, like being back there with you and your compound, because it's like everybody's just so wonderful. And you're like, well, that makes sense. You know what I mean? Like,
I definitely agree. I think, we're really blessed. We have, for me, those opportunities when everyone can get together. And, we were doing the first show we played in 5 years, that big show. And we just looked at it as an excuse to, we did want to play. We had been talking about it for like the last year. Like, where should we come back out and play? Mm-hmm. And we were waiting for the right opportunity. And then that one came and we were like, this feels right. So let's go, let's make it a big thing. Let's invite all of our friends and family, anyone that wants to come. And everyone there was important to us. And it felt like Thanksgiving to me.
Yeah, it was really special. It was so cool to watch.
It was. And I think we had like 150 guests across 2 days. And it did feel like a holiday, you know. One of the through lines, I think, all those people, all the band's parents and their wives and kids, to other artists, to industry people, to not industry people. The through line I would say is I notice about all of them is like everyone there that I know them to be like kind people, good manners. They treat people well. And I'd say that about all my friends, you included. I notice how they treat other people when I'm around. Like whether it's someone's friend or someone working there, or it doesn't matter. I notice there's this through line of well-mannered people who are kind. Yeah. And that's what I love to see that, because I always tell my kids, the number one thing we have that doesn't cost us anything is our manners and our reputation. And so we can always say please and thank you. It's free. We can always show appreciation to someone who's working somewhere, or someone we're interacting with. And it's gotten me so far in life. Please and thank you have gotten me further than anything else.
Oh my God, yeah.
Work ethic is work ethic. You got to have that. But how you do it if you work with some joy, and even in moments, if you're anxious and you have a moment and it gets edgy and you snap on someone, you can always go back and make a repair and go, hey, sorry about that. I'm nervous as hell. Yeah. And
that goes such a long way
you get
too.
Closer.
Like 100%.
In the world we live in today, we don't give each other enough I don't feel like we give each other enough space to come back and say, yo, I'm sorry, I was wrong about that, or the way I talked, I was angry, or to be honest with you, I'm just super anxious.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I think that we've made that a practice that it always helps, man.
Well, I think it's just vulnerability, authenticity, empathy, kindness. I mean, you got to have those things, you know?
What's next for you?
So
What's the plan?
I have my rodeo coming up, and this year that's 3 shows, 3 days at Pioneer Town in Joshua Tree.
Yep.
I've assembled like all my favorite country artists, drag queens. We're including so many different friends, companies. I'm really good friends with the Zero Skateboards boys. I'm kind of on Zero.
Yeah.
So we're having
You skate?
I grew up skating.
Oh,
yeah.
wow.
Not anymore now because I'm scared of breaking my wrists.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we're gonna have Zero there, the Zero team with a ramp. We're gonna have the Gay Rodeo Association. We've got so many. It's gonna be amazing.
What's the Gay Rodeo Association?
It's like a gay rodeo circuit. So it's all queer LGBTQIA plus rodeo workers, performers, and they travel it around like a rodeo, but it's entirely LGBTQIA. And it's like kind of lesser known, but it's really
cool.
special. And there's we're gonna have their involvement. There's it's gonna be like my dream sort of weekend out in Pioneer Town, and yeah, we're really excited about it.
How many times have you done that?
It's the first. Well, I've done. Usually the rodeo used to be just like one show, but we do it at more like we've done it like Red Rocks or the Greek Theater, or like made it like a big thing with special guests. This is the first time we're doing it as like a 3-day thing.
Yeah.
So I just want to keep growing it sort of each time. But
what are the dates of that?
Yeah, it's November 10, 11, 12. It's gonna be super exciting. There's like such incredible people playing, and
it sounds like you can go there. The music is just a great backdrop and a good reason to be there, to go and check it out. And a bunch of friends go. And do people camp? Do all the different things?
Yeah, there's like there's on-site stuff that kind of was sold in packages, and there's like I think people are kind of staying in like the desert cities like Palm Springs, Yucca, whatever. But,
we could bring the bus.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
For sure, you got to bring the bus.
Yeah.
But, it's gonna be a pretty special weekend for sure. So that's kind of the big plan for this year. I took a big time out this year. I actually ended up canceling and now rescheduling a huge chunk of tour dates because I just needed like a mental health break.
Yeah.
I was just like so burnt out this year. But this is kind of the big thing this year, and then back to touring starting in the spring.
Touring burns you out.
Dude, like I said, I did 17 years this year for me.
Unreal.
And I've never canceled a show once in my life other than COVID.
Unreal.
It's like madness.
I mean, trying to like figure out how many shows you've even played, probably impossible.
I don't even know. I mean, there was one point where I was like drumming in my old punk band. I was doing session drumming in 2 other touring bands. I was on tour, I think, for 10 months straight one year. When the first year of Orville Peck touring, I think we did something like 200 days out of the year.
Crazy.
Yeah, like madness, just in like literal mental illness, I think.
It's crazy. I just said this to Benj after those shows in Vegas. I feel burned out.
Dude, it ain't as easy.
It's a different muscle.
Yeah. And you could probably get it. I mean, you look at like Elton. I mean, I saw his show at Dodgers this last year or whenever that was. It was like one of his last ones. I mean, that's insane. But he's been touring for like pretty much straight for like 50 years. Like
it's a machine.
Madness.
Lionel is the same way. He tours all the time, and it's crazy. He's been doing it for so long. He's got so much energy. He's so young.
Yeah.
And he says that's how he stays healthy and young. And it's like he works. And he's so good. I went to his show at the Forum, and I was blown away at how good it was. I mean, he sounds better than ever.
Yeah.
And there's got to be something to that. But man, it's hard work.
Yeah.
And it does burn you out.
The
mentally.
stamina. Oh my God. Yeah. Well, just the lack of like stability, really, like new place every day. It just eventually, it was a hard year for me this year for sure, mentally. But
it's hard to have a real life when you're doing that.
Yeah, it's impossible.
Like relationships are tough, and you start thinking about like, where's the balance of like, there's Orville Peck, and then there's real life,
Yeah.
relationship, family. And that's like the 5-year break we took was that. It was like we were burned out, we stopped, then we started again for a second and it was too early and we knew it.
Yeah.
And we made a record we loved and we were like, we really want to put it out. And we went back on the road, did 40 shows or something. And we were like, we did it too early. We should have waited another year or something because we felt burned.
Yeah.
And I think it's about it. And everybody's different. So you do have to tailor the suit that you have to wear, right?
100%.
So it's tough.
Yeah. No, I think, yeah, it's but we'll be back to it next year. I think I've like finally found because also it was like COVID, so it was nothing.
Yeah.
And then we got to come back and we were like, oh my God, do everything.
Supercharged, yeah.
And it was like the pendulum just like,
Yeah.
you know, and I think I've finally sort of found what works for me in terms of like length of tour, how much time off in between tours, all that stuff. Like, and I'm lucky enough that I'm in a position now where I can craft that, right?
Yeah.
Like, so
Yeah, you can design it. And your fans will get more out of it when you design it.
100%.
Yeah.
And there, you know, everyone's been very sweet and understanding too, which has been great. But yeah, rodeo this year and then back to tons of touring next year.
Dude, thanks for coming on.
Man, thank you so much. I love you. You know,
Love you too, man.
Yeah.
Thanks for being here.
Of course.
Thank you for watching Artist Friendly. If you like this episode, please make sure you hit the like button, you follow the channel, and please share it with your friends. We appreciate the support. That is why this show exists, because you listen to it. Thank you guys, and we'll see you next time.
I don't wanna have